All right, let's get started here. I'm gonna do a quick recap, and because people kind of join the oh yeah, let me get rid of these. Because people tend to join the stream late and then ask, what is going on? What's going on? I'm going to actually just link this tweet in the chat here. And if any of the mods or anyone who wants to help me out, if people join the stream and say what's going on, just link them that tweet so that they can get the backstory here, because I don't want to have to keep going over the whole story every time as people join. So the backstory, if you're not familiar with what was going on here, Eva Prokofiev. I'm sorry, Eva. So Eva posted this tweet out yesterday at some point, I think, saying, oh yeah, by the way, check this shit out. This is why we're doing this. 3.5 million views. So basically, she was taking a look at an Ethernet to USB adapter. I don't know if she explains, I'm not logged into X here, but at some point I think she explained that when she mounted it, it basically like popped up an installer, and this is why and this is what made her sort of investigate it. Once she did, you can see here it has a single pin or SPI flash, a memory chip acting as storage with an exe recognized as malware for Windows, right? So the implication here is that this is some sort of backdoor or supply chain compromise where I guess apparently China China is delivering malware via these USB devices. Maybe the driver. Yeah, cheese taxi. Don't worry, we'll get there. We'll get there. So in response, first of all, she's. I'll try and pull this tweet up. She said she's not a malware analyst, and I don't think because she's not a malware analyst, she didn't realize the what do we call it? The not ethics, but yeah, the shoot, the word is eluding me, but she didn't realize that this is not very tactful to not include the hash, right? But she quickly remedied that. She had a post here where she uploaded the exe to hybrid analysis, and then she says, and I guess again this is based on her interpretation of the sandbox. It's not her fault. I don't like the you guys can tell I don't like the pile on here. It's not like oh, you did something bad, whatever. She just had a viral tweet that was kind of incorrect here. But she says based on the sandbox, it's evading virtual machines, modifying proxy settings, extracting keystrokes, I'm not sure where she got that, and using Russian language elements to obscure its origin or intent. Ooh, sounds bad, right? And she's linked to this hybrid analysis sample or hybrid analysis run here, which we will get into in just a minute. I'm also going to quickly pull up, I think two of the driver is USB to ETH. It's nothing special. It's an installer. Thanks, Daximus. Yeah, so by the way, Dax, are you the actual Dax? If you are, I should make you a mod. Let me know if you're the real Dax and I'll make you a mod. Okay, so not to get too sidetracked here, but basically once the hash or this analysis was released, then a bunch of people took a look at this, including VX Underground, and there's this post which I thought was very good from Smelly, basically just kind of explaining what he could see. So he says not a hardware guy, malware guy. Oh, look at that shout out! Thanks, Smelly. Very nice. So it drops some files which can be used for an indicator of compromise for malware, but also completely normal application drops files too. I mean, yeah, pretty much. Driver enumeration language isn't surprising either. Probably has to do with driver installation stuff. Hybrid analysis notes file doing some funky token manipulation stuff, but I mean, let's be honest here, right? Any UAC is going to do that. Happy New Year, Russian Panda. No other intermediate TTPs or anything. TLDR, everything the binary is doing is standard stuff for driver installation. That's kind of the takeaway here. So I thought that was kind of good. Smelly kind of putting some cold water on this claim that China is backdooring you via your Ethernet. But again, the reason why we're going through this is 3.5 million views, 30K likes. This is still going crazy. It hasn't stopped. No community notes, nothing like that. So despite Smelly doing a pretty good job there. This is kind of still spreading. And I think probably the most important thing here is that at this point, she's basically just has to take our word for it. And what I wanted to do in the stream here today is to show you guys that you don't have to take our word for it. I'll just show you technically how I would make sure this passes the smell test. I'll go through like what that looks like, and then that way, you kind of know where it comes from. It's not just me saying, "Oh, this looks not malicious" or whatever. So that's kind of the gist of the stream, basically, right? It's like when I have to deal with something like this, what do I do? What do I look for? How does it play out? So that's going to be our stream today. I think, like I said, after this, it kind of goes downhill. There's a little bit of like, tit for tat type stuff. People, I think, are a little bit mad at her for this, but again, it doesn't. You'll see. I think most of you will come around to my view of this by the end of the stream. That I don't think it's really her fault. I think she's just misled by the sandbox results. I also want to give a shout out to Crack Fingers. Ugh, that's a interesting handle. Here, let me put her tweet up here. I think she also had a very good response. So she was looking at the the hardware, which came out in 2010, and she was explaining. This was in response to like why would a USB be installing drivers, and she was just explaining this is an old adapter. It came out a long time ago. And back in the day, it wasn't so easy to just download drivers. I think they probably, she was saying they don't want to ship CDs. So now they're going to do a memory chip on the device itself with the driver. So anyway, I thought she had a pretty good, pretty reasonable response. And I think she also was one of the first people. She doesn't have a big account, so X is very bad at promoting this kind of stuff, but she was one of the first people to respond to this with just a logical explanation of what was going on. She said, the file that is uploaded to Hybrid Analysis is like a 7-zip archive, and it contains a driver. So that kind of like she was, anyway. That's why I wanted to highlight it. She was one of the first people. The real Shodan. She was one of the first people to like say, hey, this maybe is not as malicious as it seems. Okay, so I think you guys have all the links that you need. Yeah, somebody pinned the thing. Thanks, Mishap. So let's actually get into this malware. I don't want to call it malware. I was trying to think of. Do you guys remember? Bad BIOS, when that Dragon guy thought that his BIOS was malicious. This kind of reminds me of the same thing, like this stuff spreading like wildfire. And I was thinking we should give it a name. We should call it Evil Ethernet. So that's what I was calling it. Anyway, let's get into it. I think the first place to start is. Wait, you know what we should do? I'll do the quick smell test first, and then I'll go through why this was such a problem. I think this is really what got her, by the way. But yeah, we'll do the analysis first. I think that probably seems like the better way to do it. This kind of imploded all over the net. I saw it on Hacker News. First, I thought it was AI generated. It's on fucking Hacker News. What the fuck? Oh no! Oh, that's not good. That's a problem with these things. Is it sounds so cool. Everyone wants to share it, right? Oh, I've been backdoored via my Ethernet adapter, but yeah, Jesus, that's not good. So much exposure for a business, though. Yeah, I saw some people mentioning that it's like this is like some sort of con to like get people to like to drive business to her. I guess she's some sort of China OSINT expert. I prefer not to speculate on that kind of stuff. I honestly think that I think she was honestly thought this was malware. Like I don't think. I mean, this could be some sort of cynical like 5D chess, but I don't know, man. I think really she just is not a malware analyst and looked at this and was like, oh fuck, it's malware. Also on VT, it looks like malware. I mean, there's not too many hits, but if you don't know how to parse VT results, it looks bad. I think that's kind of a case of like, when the normies start using our tools and they don't know how to parse the results. Virus total. Yeah, I should pull this up for you guys as well. I just want to show you what it looks like here. Yeah, so you can see for us. Ooh, silence. Eee, that's about. Oh, my doggo has the sniffs. Yeah, that's not good. But yeah, for those of you who do a lot of malware analysis, you guys kind of know when something looks like this on VT, and you have like sky. I never even fucking heard of Sky High. I heard of Trellix, but you have these AVs that are what would you call it, like B tier or whatever? Sorry, Silence, you're not B tier, but you know what I'm saying. Like, there's not that many AVs have like flagged it, but if you didn't really know how it worked, you might just see this and think, oh no, it's malware, right? So anyway, I'm just trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. It really didn't seem like she initially thought, she was doing this cynically. I don't want to AI tier, yeah. I don't want to. I do know that this morning she started to do some, like I said, some tit for tat stuff, trying to defend herself. So whatever. Maybe now it's morphed into something else. But I think originally she was literally misled by this. What do we have in the chat here? She gave me some kind of weird chat GPT reply. Oh, I saw that too. Yeah. Let's not get too deep into that. I think she was defending herself. I think she just felt attacked, and like people were calling her stupid or whatever. But she, like I said, I wish I could maybe pull up the tweet, but it's probably not worth it. She did tweet, "I'm not a malware analyst. I'm doing hardware stuff. I'm not a malware analyst." So anyway, try and give her the benefit of the doubt here. I know like it's kind of hard for you guys because everybody here is like deep into malware analysis and deep into reverse engineering. So you guys, it's very easy for you to parse something like this and be like, I'm not going to put much stock in fucking Sky High or whatever, So yeah, so you guys, you can see the matrix, but you have to keep in mind that not everybody is looking at malware all the time and is super familiar with this. So let's get into these false positive things later on. I'll do that at the end, and for now let's just do the triage. I'll jump in and I'll show you kind of how I walk through this. I've already marked up the IDBs. I'll show you those as well. It's actually kind of my take on this is kind of an elegant solution to a hard problem from 10 years ago when you didn't want to ship a CD. Somebody in the chat said the CD probably costs the same as the driver, same as the adapter. It's probably true. That's probably why they don't want to ship the CD. So yeah, I think this is actually not the worst idea by the developer of this adapter. But yeah, let's go through and I'll show you guys what I did. What else we have? People don't believe me when I interpret VT results. They either panic or nothing or say it's an FP burrow. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. One of the hardest things about our industry is trying to take things that we're pretty confident at and translate those into speak for non-technical or non-malware people. Let's not say non-technical, non-malware people. Yeah, it's hard to do that. Shout out Lori Wired. I think she's one of the best at kind of making this stuff accessible to the wider public. That's why we always try to promote her, love her streams. I think she's one of the best. There's a few other ones. John Hammond's pretty good at it as well. Trying to explain, the nuances of malware to people who aren't as familiar with it. But it's extremely hard. Yeah, it's just a hard thing to do. Okay, let's get into it. So, like I said, well, I was going to pull up our own service UNPACME and show you what a good job we did, but instead of that, let's just show you with local tools here so that you guys can all follow along. Also, do you like my enormous, my huge font? I made it huge so that even those of you watching on the on the phone could follow along, because I figured this stream might be a little bit broader than our normal audience, since it really had kind of taken off online. Okay, so we pull over. This is the binary that she. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, guys. Let me just give you the hash here. Sorry. You know I'm Canadian, so I say that a lot. Here's the hash. There you go. You can download that from UNPACME if you want, or VT if you have a VT key. That's the file that was being dropped. We're going to talk about that in a minute, from the USB Ethernet adapter. Okay, so as you can see, Detected Easy, super old version, but Detected Easy is telling me that this is a 7-zip installer. Those of you who aren't too familiar with that, this is basically a way to deploy a zip archive via exe. So there's like a little exe stub and there's a zip archive in there. When you double click this, it will extract the archive and then launch whatever program has been listed in the manifest of the archive. If you guys aren't familiar with this, I'm not doing a good job of explaining it. Oh, I know what I'll do here. New text document test. Okay, so if you want to create one of these things, all you have to do is go to 7-zip, add to archive, switch the options to create an SFX archive. You can see this is now an exe. Click OK. And now we have test.exe. And if I was to double click that, it'll say, like, do you want me to extract? And it's going to extract to, yes, whatever. So it extracts this text.exe, test.exe. And if you want, you can actually put in a manifest into this, which I'm not going to show you how to do. But if you put a manifest in there, not only will it extract the files, but it will also launch an exe that's in the files. So that's what this looks like. And the best way to analyze those is just to open it with 7-zip, and there you go. You can see exactly what this is. It's got a setup.exe. It's got a drivers folder, one for 64, one for 32. Let's see what's in 64. They have a catalog file, an INF, install.exe, and a driver. Nothing too smelly yet, right? Not you smelly. I mean smelly as in stinky malware. So if we go back, let's take a look at the 32-bit folder. Exactly the same thing. My guess is these are probably 32-bit files, right? So far, nothing looks crazy, right? Nothing looks too crazy. I also want to just bring your attention to the date that this was set, 2023. We'll get into that in a minute. Sir, I showered this morning. Good to hear. Stay showered. Stay clean. Speaking of staying clean, check out my doggo. Oh, look at him. Oh, he's so mad. He's so mad. Oh. Oh. We cleaned his wrinkles, so he's very upset. He's not happy. Okay, so you guys can see nothing up my sleeve. This is just a 7-zip self-extracting archive. When you double-click it, it is going to extract this stuff, and it's going to run one of the files. We don't know which one of those files. I'm sure we could figure it out, but let's take a wild guess that it's probably going to run setup.exe, which is in the root of the folder. I'll show you in a minute. Like I said, actually not in a minute, in a few minutes, at the end of this, I'll show you guys what it looks like in a sandbox. But yeah, for right now, let's just assume it's probably that setup.exe. So what I've done is I have extracted all of these. If you want to extract, yes, we're live right now. If you want to extract these, it's actually super easy. Just click extract, and then you choose the folder. I'm not going to do that because I've already extracted them, and I've already marked up the IDBs so that we can do this a little bit quicker than we normally would. Let's get into it. Okay. Let's open up, not malware. All right, so let's open up setup.exe, and I'll show you how this all works. So there is a whopping 18 lines of code in this setup.exe, and it does exactly what you would assume. Yes, sus. Russian Panda says sus. Yeah, this does exactly what you would assume, right? So they check to see whether it's WoW64, so they check whether it's running under 64-bit or whether it's 32-bit. Depending on whether it's WoW64 or not, they either choose the 64-bit folder or the 32-bit folder, which I just showed you in the archive. So you can see it's a relative path. So they're actually running the setup.exe from the root of the extracted files. So everything pretty much looks exactly, it looks exactly as you would expect, right? They set the directory to be 64 or 32-bit, and then they run the install.exe from that directory. So as you can see, there's nothing highly sophisticated dynamic dispatching of the second stage. Yeah, exactly. Again, nothing on my sleeve. There's nothing suspicious here. All they do is just launch install.exe from either 32 or 64-bit. That's all this thing does. That's it. So why don't we go and take a look? I think I marked up the 64-bit one. So why don't we go and take a look at install.exe in the 64-bit directory? Let's do that now. I don't have to save the database. It's fine. Okay, so let's go into our drivers, go into our 64-bit, and yeah, I did mark it up. Great. And I will take a look at this installer. The only good entry-level tech job in my area is PHP developer. PHP developer. You might actually make a lot of money at that. I'm not sure how many PHP developers there are left. Let's go to main here. As you can tell, I've already marked this up a little bit. I think I'm just going to close the functions window so you can see this code a bit better. I don't want to close my doggo. He's too cute here. Are you drooling a bit? Drooling? Oh, he's drooling a lot. He's a drooly boy. Okay, so once the installer is run, and this is a little bit out of my wheelhouse, I'm not a big driver guy, a big kernel guy. I mostly look at malware, and most malware is user land, so, I'm not 100% familiar with this, but I think I can probably walk you through this, you guys through this a little bit. Maybe we'll pull up some documentation too, just so you know I'm not making stuff up. But basically, all the installer does is, this is the main, right? All it does is runs update driver for plug-and-play devices, and it passes the installer file or INF file in the same directory as the driver and itself. It also passes this, I believe this is like the device ID, I think, or they call it hardware ID. Again, I'm not a super big driver guy. Where's Daximus? Daximus can probably tell us exactly what's going on here. But from what I could tell, this is basically a pretty straightforward way to install or update a driver using an INF file. You don't need a CS degree to do PHP. Mal, you guys are really interested in PHP, eh? Waiting for single object, process injection, IOC noted. Oh, Smelly, we'll get to the process injection in a minute. The process injection is actually kind of a bad look for the sandbox, unfortunately. I'll do that at the end, though. I'll show you guys at the end why that really is not a good IOC. But yeah, so let's just finish this up. There's not that much code here, guys. Yeah, duplicate handle, yeah. Okay, so let me just pull up the documentation for this real quick. Pop over here, and I just want to show you guys there's nothing suspicious about this. Okay, so given an INF file and a hardware ID, the blah 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 function installs updated drivers for the devices that match the hardware ID. Let me blow that up so you guys can see it a bit better. All right, so nothing on my sleeve. There's nothing strange about this. Basically, the INF file, which I will show you guys in just a minute, has the definition for the driver. I don't have an INF, like a driver INF file parser. If someone in the chat has one, send it to me. All I do is strings it and look through the strings, which are pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, basically you pass it the INF file that has all the information about the driver and it installs it. So let's do that right now. We'll take a look at the INF file. I'll open up a terminal here. Okay. There we go. Okay, so if we just use strings the INF file, so sr9 something INF, you can see that this has what appears to be the installation setup for the driver. This is an Ethernet adapter, USB to Ethernet. Oh, the doggo's left. No more doggo. USB to Ethernet adapter. I'm not super familiar with this kind of stuff. Maybe somebody who does a lot of driver development could probably tell you what's going on here. But I think probably the most important thing is just that it installs this driver, which is in the same directory. So nothing looks crazy so far. This really looks like a very simple driver installer program. So that's basically, what we've got here. I do want to show you one last thing. It just sets up the reg keys, really. Is that how it installs the driver? Yeah, I wasn't too sure. I do want to show you guys one last thing, which is kind of cool, I thought. And maybe you guys can help me out with this. Again, I don't know if Dax is probably falling asleep here, but maybe somebody else who knows a bit more about the driver stuff can help me out here. So once they've done sets up reg keys and moves files. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. You can see here, if it did fail, they do actually just try and move the INF file over to windir INF. And I believe this actually is just another way of installing it. I could be wrong, but I believe this is actually just a backup way of installing the INF. But again, I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, I'm not too sure about that. But again, there's nothing weird or malicious going on here. As we would say, it's passing the smell test so far. But there is one extra thing at the end here that I want to point out. And this gives us a bit of insight into the people who built this and why they built it. So they have this finally bit of code here, which they call no matter what. And they grab this like UNC path to A, and they create, and they also have what they call a root path name for A here. Only funny thing is the floppy drive stuff. Yeah, we're going to talk about that mishap. Yeah, so check this out. It's actually, it's very cool. I don't know 100%. I can't tell you 100% that's what this is doing, but I will walk you through it, and I think I know what's going on here. So they have this little while loop here, and they actually increment for each pass through the while loop. They increment this root path name by 1, which of course, because it's an ASCII character, just changes the character. So it goes from A all the way to Z, or Z if you are American. So it basically goes through every letter, every drive letter, and it checks to see whether the drive type is a CD-ROM. And if it is a CD-ROM type, then they grab a handle to the file. They check to see whether they can actually grab the handle, and then they query it for storage device property, which gives you information about the device. And they check the vendor ID to see whether the device presents as Realtek Core Chip USB CD-ROM. Now, why is that important? That's important because it looks like, and then they send this SCSI command, which I will show you in just a minute. It looks like they're trying to find their mounted flash storage. And it looks like their mounted flash storage is trying to present as a CD-ROM. Now, why is this important? Those of you who do a lot of malware analysis, why would they want to present as a CD-ROM and not as a USB device, USB storage, mass storage? Shout it out in the chat. Okay, so if they determine that it is Realtek Core Chip USB CD-ROM, then they send a SCSI command to the device here. And let me show you what they do. Mounting the ISO, kind of. Yes, Boris sneezed. Yes, sorry if you guys can hear that in the background. My dog is back and he sneezed. He's a bulldog. He's got congestion. USB is mostly blocked by a lot of orgs, so mounting makes sense. Hell yeah, that's right. Oh my god, Godzilla. Okay, so for those of you who are not as old as me, you may not remember that there used to be an auto run feature where when you plugged in a mass storage device and you had an auto run.inf, Windows would automatically run whatever's in the INF file. This created USB worms. And this actually, I think Stuxnet might have taken advantage of this. I can't remember, but basically, this was terrible. This is a terrible time. Every USB was worming malware across entire orgs. So who said it in the chat here? Smelly. They disabled it in Vista. So Windows was like, hey, no more autoruns.inf on USB storage. They got rid of it. However, there is also something called autoplay, which is if you insert a CD-ROM device and you have an autoplay configuration, it will launch whatever is defined in the autoplay. So it's kind of like autoruns, but for CD-ROM. Now, because CD-ROMs are not traditionally writable, there's no worming capability. So you can't have a malware that infects CD-ROMs unless it's a writable CD-ROM, but that's quite rare. So Windows never disabled autoplay for CD-ROMs. So if you present yourself as a CD-ROM, you can still auto-launch EXEs. And I suspect that what happened is they present as a CD-ROM so that they can automatically launch the installer without the user needing to do anything. So I think that's what's going on here. Again, there's speculation. I don't have access to the device. It'd be cool if Eva could... I don't know if she can weigh in here. I don't know if she's watching. I'll ping her afterwards. Maybe she can tell us what the other file was on the device. But 5head, yeah, exactly. But I think that that's actually what's going on here. Now, there's a question, which is what SCSI command is it sending to the device? And of course, I don't know. And this is where you guys come in. I don't actually know. I can show you. Malware developers taking notes. Yeah, well, the reason why the CD-ROM autoplay is actually not a big deal is because you would have to fake the device ID. So that means it's a hardware. You'd have to make a hardware device. Now, there are actually hardware devices like this. Like, I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe that like MalDuck or Rubber Ducky thing, I think that presents as a CD-ROM so they can use autoplay. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's how that works. Or maybe that one just does keystrokes. It presents as a keyboard. But anyway, once you control the hardware layer and you can present your device as anything at the hardware layer, then you really own things, right? I mean, again, you could present as a keyboard and just inject keystrokes. So yeah, whatever. That is it is what it is. But at the software layer, you can't really do that, right? It's only at the hardware layer. To this only works as a targeted attack. I'm not quite sure what you mean, but I think maybe the chat's a bit delayed, and I think I might have explained why it's not as dangerous. Because you have to have you have to make the hardware. So then you have to physically get the hardware in someone's hands. They have to install it. So anyway, I think that this is kind of an elegant solution that these developers of the Ethernet adapter came up with, so that they could basically just auto launch the installer once it's installed. They present it as a CD-ROM, autoplay, and then they launch their installer. Now, like I said, what SCSI command would they be sending after they've installed the driver? The only thing I can think of is that they would want to unmount the CD-ROM or eject it after they had installed the driver. So I don't actually know, and only somebody who has the Realtek data sheets would be able to know what this command E0 does for... by the way, if you... we should go over this too. The Core Chip is the name of the company that makes this. Let me just pop this up and I'll show you guys in Google. If we look for Core Chip, these guys are the guys who make the adapter. You could actually, I think this might actually be the adapter right here. Here, let me make this bigger for you guys. All right, so these guys are the guys who make this this adapter. And if you go to, there's somewhere where you can actually, here's the cat file I kind of breezed through that, but basically when you install a driver, driver needs to be signed. They have an INF file or INF file, and then that references the catalog file, which is the .cat file that was in the same directory. And you can see here, this is valid Microsoft site, and they have the cat files for this device driver here. So it is legitimately signed by Microsoft, in case you guys were wondering about that. But let's go back to these guys. Let's go to driver, and I believe you can just download, you can just download this driver directly from their site. Now, they have, this is obviously translated from Chinese, and when you click on it, they're quite angry, and they want you to, here, let me make this bigger for you. Stop. They want you to, to log in, and I don't know how to log in. They bring you to the login page, but there's no way to sign up. So I don't actually know how to download the driver from their site, but I'm pretty sure that if you could download it, you would probably find it's just the same thing as the file that we're analyzing here. Okay, so it's just eject. I mean, that's what I thought it was, Mishap, but do you know it's eject? Like I was, like I said, I suspected that that's what they would be doing. This is just an elegant way to get rid of, to unmount or eject the CD-ROM. Yeah, exactly, Mishap. Yeah, exactly. I just wasn't able to find this command, and I wasn't sure where you would find it, because I did actually Google for it quite a bit, but I couldn't find where this was documented. If you have a link, I would actually like it. It would be kind of the cherry on top here. But yeah, I suspected that, as Mishap said, that what this was doing was after they had installed the driver, they sent this SCSI command which would eject the storage device or the CD-ROM. And as Mishap said, they do it so fast that the user isn't even aware that there's a CD-ROM mounted. And I believe that's what's happening here. I could be wrong. Once we find the data sheet for the eject, we can confirm 100%. But that's what I think is going on here. And that would mean that this is actually, as I tweeted this morning, a pretty elegant solution to the problem of getting your drivers installed. From a user perspective, all they have to do is click OK to the UAC prompt when the installer is launched. And as long as they do that, the drivers will be installed, and the little storage device is unmounted once they're installed. So I think that kind of sums up the installer code as far as this goes. I don't know. There's no other code in here. That's basically it. That's all this does. Yeah. So I think that's at least as far as I would go in terms of, passing the smell test for the installer. Like I said, I did kind of mark up the driver a bit, but I'm not a driver guy, and really the interesting part here would be the installer, not the driver, since the driver is signed by Microsoft. So if that was like a supply chain attack, they wouldn't need to put it on the USB. They could just download it from, you would just install the drivers normally when you install them, when you need them for the device. So that's kind of a different type of attack here. Really, the crazy part here would be like, I think I did mark it up a little bit. Yeah, the crazy part here would be like, if you, this is driver entry. Yeah, the crazy part here would be like if you added something to the installer or something like that. But yeah. How about the keystroke as claimed by hybrid analysis? We're going to get into that. Okay, so we're going to get into, I just wanted to cover off before we get into the second part of this, which is how to investigate false positives from sandboxes, etc. So we'll do that in the second half of this. But the first half, I just wanted to show you guys how I would triage this binary if I got it and somebody asked me, is this malware? This is basically the process I took. We look at what is the original file? It's a 7-zip self-extracting RAR. We extract our self-extracting archive. We extract all the files. We look at the installer code, 18 lines of code, nothing else hidden in there. All it does is launch the setup for the driver. We look at the setup for the driver. It doesn't do anything either. It just uses normal standard Windows APIs to install a signed driver, which is signed with a catalog. It has a catalog file signed by Microsoft, so nothing weird there. And that's basically how I would triage this. So far, I don't see anything here that's weird. The only thing that was a little bit strange was them trying to locate a mounted device that's a CD-ROM by Realtek core chip, and then sending that SCSI command. And as I mentioned, and also as Mishap pointed out, it is more than likely that they are just unmounting or ejecting the CD-ROM after they've installed the driver to clean up after themselves so that there's nothing left around once the user's installed the driver. So I think that that's kind of a good place to, there is still the driver to check. Did you miss that part? Yeah, so like I said, we're not going to do like big driver analysis here. I'm definitely not the guy to do that. But if this was like if this was a supply chain attack where they hid something in the driver, then the fact that it was being deployed via a USB, via a chip on the Ethernet driver wouldn't really matter because they have a signed driver by Microsoft, so it would be distributed through whatever the normal driver distribution method is. In their case, I think just download from their website. So that's a whole other problem. Security assurance or software assurance for drivers is a whole other problem. I can tell you that with my extremely limited knowledge of how this kind of stuff works, I did poke through it. I remember looking at an old driver from Rovnick's a while ago where they set up their own packet handler so that they could basically send secret packets past the firewall. This looks nothing like that. This looks like it's literally just shipping packets to the driver via USB, or to the Ethernet adapter via USB. It really doesn't, nothing smells weird here, but I'm not a driver expert, so. Chinese AVTs hate this one simple trick. Reverse engineering. Yeah, in this case, I don't think it's Chinese AVT. I think it's a Chinese device manufacturer trying to make it easy for their users to install drivers. That's what it looks like to me. Okay, so I think we are... I think that kind of brings us to the end of the smell test here. Again, nothing smells stinky to me. Everything looks pretty normal. I'm going to take a quick break. Got to go pee, run some ads for you guys. When I come back, I will we will go through the oopsie from the sandbox, which I think led to this whole problem in the first place.